Hey everybody, Adam Savage here in my cave for another one-day build. And today's build is about today's build. It's about filming today's build. You may have noticed, because I've been talking about it, that during the whole lockdown, I have been doing all of my own filming. And it has given me so much more respect for the cameramen that I work with. Gunther, Joey, Saws, everybody. Coverage is hard, man. Gunther said to me the other day that my coverage was getting better and better, and I really appreciate that. But among the difficulties of filming yourself is it's a whole different way of working, obviously, because you have to be thinking about what you're establishing and what you're talking about and make sure you've shot what you need to cover it. So it's like having two whole brains going at once. But also from an information management standpoint, it is complicated, right? Because I end up at the end of a day with sometimes like 60 new videos on my phone and I've got to upload them. So the way I've been doing it is I've been just writing on a card here. But I've just been writing this on here. And that allows me, if I do this for the very first one and at least the very last shot of a series, then I know that everything in between it was part of that, and I can upload that. By the way, Apple AirDrop, you guys got to get your game together in terms of large amounts of file transfers, because when you upload like 30 videos, it can fail halfway through, and it will have uploaded a bunch of the videos, but not all of them, and it won't tell you which ones it's uploaded. It seems to prioritize by the size of the video, but then you have to go through. Here's what I'm actually doing. I'm actually uploading only 10 to 15 files at a time. That seems to be below any kind of failure rate. And then each time I'm done with those 15 videos, I am deleting them. I know they're saved in the recently deleted folder, but I'm deleting them so they're no longer part of like what I have to look at. So I don't have to, which was the last one, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, I have been learning all of these techniques during this lockdown while filming myself, and also uploading stuff to Joey and Gunther and Norm to edit. And there's been a few times when I've seen a final video and been like, where's that shot? Where's this shot? And it turns out, like I said, I had an AirDrop failure and all of a sudden one of my files didn't load. So here I am with a need that goes back to the origin of film, which is how do you manage lots of little pieces of a narrative in order so that someone else can put it together later? And you do that with a slate. A slate is one of those things, the clapper, where you're like, take one, mark, right? Now, the clapper has a clacker on it so that sound and film can sync up. And, it's funny. It's like I'm still doing it on Zoom when I'm doing corporate jobs for clients. I'm sitting there like clapping on the Zoom camera so they can make sure that the audio I'm recording locally matches up to the edit. I am going to add a clapper function simply because I love the clapper slate. I am also going to make it easily reconfigurable because I am going to be adjusting the slate each time, and I'm going to be using it for all of my shots because it just makes cutting easier. It makes the job easier for all the editors. It makes it a lot easier for me in my uploading. So that's today's one-day build. Wow, 4 minutes of explanation to get to today's one-day build, which is a shooting slate for lockdown filming by yourself. Next video, I'll be using an actual slate.
One-day build, building a slate, take one, action.
Oh, wow, look at all that. The first step in making a thing is to figure out the material. So I'm gonna just go do a little shopping here in my material storage. Let me move this spacesuit out of the way. Okay, I have some beautiful jet black acrylic. That's one thing. Okay. This I think will be my clapper cup. I think that's all I need. Wait, I've already had some offcuts. Yeah, okay, so I can, okay. All right, here's where I currently am. Here is where I currently am. I have a piece of acrylic roughed out here, and I've scored some lines on here. You'll see that's going to be how I'm going to work on labeling it in a minute. And then I've cut out a pair of nice square pieces of poplar, and they're going to attach to the slate like this. Oh, actually, no, yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit longer. I think it's going to be a little bit longer, maybe out to there, so I have to remake that mark. And then I'm going to cut a slot in the end of this. I'm going to cut a slot in the end of this. That's about like this, right? So I'm going to cut out this that little business. I can't tell you how useful it is, by the way, to draw out what you're cutting away and then shade it in. It makes so much of a difference. So I'm going to cut that slot out, and that's going to be both how I mount the thing to the slate itself and the hinge to the clapper mechanism. Yeah. Here we go. Okay, so I have my piece of plastic cut on the table saw, and it is pre-scored. I have 2 pieces of poplar that will be the clapper itself, and they'll do that. And they have a slot milled in them, and that slot will connect up like this to the board. Yep. And now it's time to decide upon the hinge. So I'm going to just take a corner of a piece of paper here, and that's a good 90 degree. Okay, that's what my hinge is going to end up looking like, and it will do double duty of both attaching the hinge to the clappers and the clappers to the board. So I think the next step is for me to cut 2 of these out of this piece of scrap aluminum. To do this, I'm going to use my new aluminum bandsaw, which I've been using a lot. You can see I've been using it a lot by the incredible depth of powder here. Yeah, I want to tell you, this little upright bandsaw has been amazing. Yesterday, I was modifying a hand wheel for my mill, and it was this big old piece of cast iron, and I had to mill like 3/4 of an inch off the outside edge of the cast iron hand wheel that I had. It was actually the old hand wheel from my table saw. And I was thinking, am I really going to sit here on my lathe just like taking off a couple of pounds of this material? It's going to take me forever. And then I realized, oh, I've got this guy. So I used it to cut this off. Look at that. I cut that off the outside of a hand wheel and radically made it smaller and lighter, actually. This is the new fine feed wheel for my Bridgeport, but that used to live there, and it was that much bigger, and I needed this hand wheel to not be so freaking heavy, and also, yeah, that's what the bandsaw did, man. I'm super, super happy. All right, so I'm going to do a little layout on this. To make sure that my hinges are really accurate, many times in the past I've done something where I've gotten this close and I've held these really tightly together, and I've just held this against them and fit them into the bandsaw, and I'm just here to tell you that never works. It never, ever. It works for like a proof of concept if I have to deliver something in 5 minutes, but for the most part, it's never a permanent solution. So I'm going to show you the extra 3 minutes you can take, that I can take, to make this work a little bit better. So first I'm going to double stick tape these 2 pieces together, and that will allow me to cut them monolithically as one chunk. I'm just loving double stick tape for this, both for wood and aluminum. And I'm just going to get their 2 flat ends lined up with each other. Yeah. Give or take. Great. Okay, so there's that. Great. Now, there's this guy. And instead of gluing this to this, I'm actually going to paint my aluminum with marking fluid. And I'm going to show you how I do a little bit of layout to, I think I'm actually going to do this as a nice close-up. This is what I'm going to use to be able to see the lines I'm going to be marking out. This is called Dieckman Steel Blue Layout Fluid. They make this in blue and red. They also make it in a spray can, but I've fallen back in love with this stuff. And it's basically a lacquer. It's a fast-drying lacquer. It comes with a brush integral to the thing. And what you do is you paint it out on your piece, and when it dries, you can make some really precise marks to cut to. Oh, it is so much of a world of possibility whenever you start to make these marks, when you start to do this painting. It's just lovely. So I let this dry for a minute. You can see that it's still a little wet. You see that? You'll see now it's actually, I know it's still a tiny bit wet, but that's already dry. That's what I mean by how much I love lacquers, man. They're just amazing. So now we're gonna do a little marking on this. It's gonna look a little something like this. First, you're gonna need a scribe. This is a beautiful Starrett scribe. I'll do a tooltip about this. I really like it. It's got replaceable tips. It's got a nice weight to it. It's super sharp. So here's what I'm going to be doing. Let me get even closer. Yeah, there we go. So this is going to be a right angle. So I'm going to draw up a right angle. And there you see the fidelity, the high quality of that line, right? A punch is also really, really an important piece. Let's see here. First and foremost, I want to make, right, let's see, how wide did I make this? Give or take, well, let's say it's 1/2 inch. Okay, I'm gonna make it exactly 1/2 inch. Now, the other nice thing about layout fluid is if you're working with aluminum, the tips of your calipers are actually strong enough to make their own marks. So you can hold this like this and run this along the, look at that. As long as the edge you're, as long as the edge you're working from is nice and square, you're going to get a nice line. It's not perfect, but it'll do. That means that my holes will be at 0.25. Let's see here, 0.2. Okay, so, right. Now there's the question of where this hole goes. So I'm just gonna get close. 1.375. That's a nice round number. So because my bottom here is square, I can simply do this, and that's where my first hole goes. As far as this business, I can hold this up to there. And again, you know, I'm gonna use this hinge as a drilling template for the pins / screws that are going in there. Oh, whoops. There's one, and then here comes the other. So now I can use the punch to punch all 3 of these holes. Lovely. 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 Now I will drill these holes first and then cut, but I also still have I want to do a 45 here. So I think I'm just going to use, this piece here. Right? And So now I want to mark a semicircle. So I've got this compass here, and I'm just gonna use it. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. I like that. Okay, so there is my hinge pattern drawn out on aluminum, and I'm gonna cut this out on the bandsaw, bring it into its final. Oh, first I'm gonna drill these 3 holes, then I'm gonna cut it out on the bandsaw. Then we'll use those holes as a drilling template for the pieces of wood here. Great. I didn't like that drill bit. It was too dull. Much better. So you can see that I've cut it out, but I've left myself a little room on the outside of the lines for refinement. Here comes some refinement. Now this is a job, finishing job, that is perfect for my die filer. How nicely that all stands out to the edges, and how I now have 2 pieces that are identical. Yay! All right, let's use this as a drilling template for the clapper. All right, I'm gonna use this pair of quick clamps to hold these together. And then I'm gonna put a pin in there. What I mean by pin is I'm actually going to take one of the screws that I'm using to hold this whole thing together. Oh, does that not fit through? Wait a second. I'm adding a second pin, and that makes sure that all 3 holes are nicely lined up. Here comes the third. Not too much blowout, that's great. I have just enough meat, awesome. Okay, so now we're well on our way. Now I want to drill the holes that will go through the clapper itself. So I'm gonna pull these and their pins. I'm gonna use this as a drilling template for this. Yes, there we go. Great. All right. We're getting really close. This is awesome. Oh, good. I was recording the whole time. All right, so now I've got these in, and that's where they line up, right about there. So I think I want the same amount of stick out on the other side, which is to say, cut to there. So I'm just gonna run those on my table saw sled for just a second. All right, now I'm going to do a little bit of sanding and finishing because that's what it's time for. And you know, I've spent a lifetime building stuff in different orientations, and I got to tell you, get the mechanics working before you do your final finishing. Because if you do your final finishing and then you do the mechanics and you screw them up, man, you wasted so much freaking time. So I'm just gonna smooth out these so that they're nice. That's me adding a chamfer on these, and you notice I did the same amount of shish for each chamfer. That means they all match each other. It's kind of how you grind a telescope mirror. It's just numbers and statistics. Okay, so now I want to paint these black, and while they're drying, I'm going to finish those. Actually, I'm going to paint them white first. So while I'm waiting for the paint to dry on the wooden clapper parts, I also painted the front of this because, well, I made my marks with the paper I scored the acrylic with the paper attached to it, which means when I painted it white, I ended up painting only the valleys that I had scored, and ergo, I have these lovely now white separators on the front of my slate, and I'm very pleased about that. Oh, come on. This is one thing about old acrylic, man. Its paper just wants to stay with it forever. Oh, look at that. Yeah. There you go. You're welcome. All right, let me clean up these two guys, the hinges. All right, I've got my clapperboard pieces here, the actual clapper of the clapper. And that is the orientation. No, it's not. That's the orientation. Yes. Okay. So now I want to paint these. So what I'm doing is I'm actually making a mask that will allow me to pull off every other one of these pieces of tape and then paint everything else on this thing black. Yeah, it'll just be a really nice looking piece when I'm all done. So I'm trimming all these back. bit is that. So now the question is, I think that it goes like this. I think that that's black, white, black, white, black, white. I got this totally wrong right off the bat. All right. We're getting really close here. I believe these are dry, so I'm gonna peel off the tape. Oh, look at that! So pretty. So pretty. Oh, I love masking. Can I just say, masking, Christmas every single time. Oh, yes. Yep. And the last one. Brilliant. Brilliant. So, what do we got here? We've got a slate. We've got a wooden part that's going to... Yep. Oh, it's looking like a thing. All right, so let's line those up. We're gonna pop that in there, and we're gonna do that in there. We're gonna do those through the front. Great. Then I put a washer on the back side of both, and I pop this back there. This just gives me a little, oh, those washers are too fat. I need a thinner shim. I have shims. Hang on. What I have are rolls of shim stock. This is exactly 5/1000ths of an inch wide. And I'm going to cut a couple of pieces so I get 10 thou. And that should be enough relief for what I'm looking for. So we're going to do one there. And I'm going to stack one on top of it. Stack that on top of that. Then we're going to go in with these nylocks. It's nice. Now I have one issue, which is when I pop this in, this will not move because it's too tight. I need to actually cut it according to the radius off of this guy. Oh, yep. I'm so happy. All right, let's get the nylock on there. There we go. All right. So now, now we have. Are you getting excited? I'm getting excited. This is really fun. So, right, so here's how this goes. We'll do this, and we'll do this. Ladies and gentlemen, there we go. Tested.com, Adam Savage, 1 day build tape, making a slate. Mark. Ladies and gentlemen, it just feels like we're more professional over here now that this is done. Don't you agree? I feel it. I hope you're feeling it. Thank you so much for joining me for this 1 day build. I will see you guys next time. All right. Second sticks. Here we go. Hey, thank you so much for watching that entire video. You are amazing. And I'm here to tell you that you can now show your tested solidarity with some tested merch like this beautiful drawing of the rickshaw that I built for Spot. This drawing was made in conjunction with the artists at Teespring, and you can buy the t-shirt in the link down below. Yeah, I didn't know that my life was incomplete without a funereal, charnel, black Victorian rickshaw to be dragged by my robot dog, and yet that was the case. And now you can have your own piece of this lovely carriage and wear it on your body. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you next time.